Oh, it's coming off. Whoa. Maybe we weren't exactly balanced. The plan for this weekend is pretty simple. Get this big hunk of iron into that other big hunk of iron that's in the other shop. Couple things to do first before we load this up. Got to address water neck, thermostat, and then pilot bushing. We got to put the bell housing on. Hey, surprise. Everything I just said was a lie. I mean, it wasn't a lie at the time. That nothing went according to plan. Stick around, see what happened. While I'm here, I want to remind you, please subscribe if you haven't already. We just crossed 100, and we're looking for the next 100. So if you've been here, or if this is your first time, please click that button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you will get notified every time a new video drops. First things first, we're going to address our thermostat and water neck. This one is really old and crunchy. It actually had no thermostat in it either because, again, it was built like a drag race motor, but not used as such. So we're putting some of that stuff back. You saw last episode we rebuilt this distributor, unlocked it, put the mechanical advance back in it. That's in there. Got the timing set. So I got brand new thermostat, brand new water neck, gasket. That's pretty much it for topside. And then we'll probably look at motor mounts before we get it off the stand, and then pilot bushing, bell housing, clutch. All right, cool. Problems right out of the gate. As you can see, either I ordered or they sent me the wrong thermostat because it'll fall in that hole. So we're not going to let it stop us though. We're going to put the new gasket, new water neck in, and I have this old like stripped down kind of thermostat cage that will help regulate flow just a little bit, probably not enough, but we'll run that for now and we'll just know that we have to order a thermostat. That's not that hard to change in the car. It's not worth stopping. Since I know it's coming apart, I'm going to use the paper gasket that came with this Summit Racing brand thermostat housing. Okay, so this is not a long-term solution, but it's a solution for right now. It won't be a big deal to change this out in the car. Next up is motor mounts. I did mark these. I don't exactly remember. Oh, like that. This one bolt also kind of captures the dipstick. We got a long one that comes through. I think I'm missing this upper one. I'm gonna have to dig through the old stash. Seems somewhat correct. And then we gotta find one for here. I wonder if it's in my parts shelf. Let me go look. All right, I found one that'll work. I'm not entirely sure what it's from. I don't think it's the right one. This might have came off the motor mounts that were on this block when I brought it home. I saved all that stuff. Same deal on the passenger side here. Should go something like that. Yeah, because it doesn't fit good that way. I put the other side back like this, and that seems to be the move. That bolt's really long. I wonder if it's supposed to be that long or not. Doesn't matter. As long as you can get wrenches in there, I guess it's fine. Uh-oh. There we go. I guess we'll know soon enough if that's going to set down in the cradle or not. These bolts are over there in where the car is. Okay, let me think here. Motor mounts, water neck. I think we're ready to get this off the stand and take a look at pilot bushing, flywheel, clutch, bell housing. It's getting real. All right, so here's the deal. I got this lift plate on here, but I'm not in love with it. And my hook is not necessarily oriented the right way. These heads have 2 3/8 holes tapped right here, and I imagine it's what they're for. Plus, I got this leveler, so I might use it instead. It's bigger bolts. It's not lifting directly from manifold. I think I like this better, and it gives us a little adjustability. We'll leave that plate on there for kind of just cover the hole, I think, but I think I like this setup a little bit better. Oh, hold on, we got sketchiness. Twisted chains. Let's go to the middle. These are blind holes. So I don't want to go too crazy, but I'm thinking that might be a better solution. Kind of stage that stuff. I think what we'll do is we'll put a little more tension on it, and then we'll pull the stand out and see if it comes crashing down or not. Okay, stand's floating. Good step. Oh, that's tight. Oh, it's coming off. Whoa. Maybe we weren't exactly balanced. It's going to be nice when we put it in, have a little bit of a load leveler on it. We'll set it now hanging to something we'll call level. We'll try to just ease it on down, cradle it in that. Easy now. Whoa. Hoist making noise. We'll leave it like that. Hoist will keep her upright, but we can't fall. And we'll just work on the ground. That's no big deal. We are gonna keep on keeping on, although we do have some issues. The biggest issue being that I bought a clutch alignment tool for an 18 spline A833 Hemi 4-speed, which is what I thought was in here. Not true. It's a 23 spline. That's my bad. I didn't count, obviously. So that's gonna hold us up a bit. I do think I have a plan for that. But for now, we're gonna at least get the flywheel on. I got the scatter shield just setting up here. We'll get the flywheel on, and then maybe we'll go get the trans and use it as a clutch alignment tool, although it's heavy and awkward and sucks, and then pull it back out. I cannot put the engine and trans in together because I can't get the angle right. And I don't have a lift to get the K-member out the bottom and do it that way, which is probably the appropriate way. So, or I'll call O'Reilly's and see if they got a 23 spline, which is a bummer. Let's lift this big honking flywheel up. Get a couple bolts in it. These are clutch and flywheel bolts is what my label says. I assume we'll be able to tell the difference. At least we can keep moving forward before we commit to doing it the hard way. Okay, there we go. Oh, this flywheel's not in the best shape. A smart man would probably do a clutch job right now. We're not gonna. We've spent enough money already. Whoa. It is about 10 million pounds, however. Come on now. We're not lined up at all. Okay, cool. There it is. I was gonna say, this is the setup that came out. It better go back in. Couple safety bolts. Let me get a socket. Probably use this baby to run them down. We'll hit them with a little bit of red Loctite. You don't want these coming loose. Let me grab a torque wrench and we'll take all these to 55 in a star pattern. It is not the same weekend anymore. In fact, it's about a week later because we ran into issues left and right when we were trying to get the clutch, bell housing, everything all together so we could put this in the car. Here's what we learned, which was a couple things that I didn't know that I could have checked, but didn't. First thing, this is not an 18 spline transmission. I thought it was, I didn't count, it's a 23 spline. That's a problem because I didn't have the right clutch alignment tool. Not that big of a deal. I actually ordered a universal one that would have worked, but we got shut down for other reasons. And the other reason is this is not a factory 4-speed crankshaft. I thought it was, kind of like the Trans. It's an automatic crankshaft. Now it is forged, it's not cast, but it's an automatic, which means that the hole for the pilot bushing is different. They didn't finish them to size because they didn't need to for the automatic cars. So the pilot bushing I bought for a 4-speed crankshaft didn't fit. I noticed that after I spent a long time getting the factory's not the right word, getting the pilot bushing out that was in there. Now I know back in the day they used to make an undersized one that fit in automatic cranks. I think that's what this had. It was wallered, like bad. So I took it out. The good news is there are solutions to all of these problems, and they come from a place called Brewer's Performance. They make, first of all, the correct alignment tool, not that hard. They also make this. This is a pilot bushing adapter that fits into the register on the crank where the torque converter snout would fit and makes your automatic crankshaft become the correct size for the input shaft of your Trans. So we got all the stuff now. We're going to get back on the floor and we are going to hopefully get the scatter shield, clutch, pressure plate, bell housing all bolted up. While I was on the old Brewer's Performance site, I did order a new throw-up bearing just because it seems like a good time to do that. So this is a little bit more complicated than just a press in and off to the races deal. So we are going to follow their instructions. We have to take a couple measurements. The bell housing will have to come on and off a few times. And then finally we'll have a complete package. And maybe someday we could put this thing in a car. So we're going to start with taking some measurements here that they call out in the instructions. The first one is from the bottom of the hole in the flange to the face of the bell housing. That's going to be a little tricky to measure because I can't get a tape down in there and I don't have a long enough caliper, I don't think. Might be close. But anyways, I'm going to measure from the bottom of the hole to the flat surface here where that bearing's going to register. And then I'll measure, bolt the bell housing on, we'll measure the other part of that measurement, we'll add them together. So let me just find the center of this hole. This is not going to be super exact because I have to go at a little bit of an angle. But we get 1.944. Let me write that down somewhere. We'll bolt the bell housing on and we'll take the other half of the measurement from the face of it to this face here that I just measured. All right, next thing is to toss the scatter shield up here and the bell housing because this is gonna add a little bit of thickness, right? And we're not gonna go crazy with bolts. So I'm thinking like 3 is gonna be enough for our measurement. Beast of a bell housing. Try to get it lined up here where I can't get a bolt in it, so hold it. What's happening? I'm in the wrong hole. That's a problem. Now, we're going to measure from this face down in here to the face that we measured on our first measurement. We'll add those together. Judging by the old eyeball meter, I think we're going to be okay. We've come this far, so we'll go ahead and check it anyway. I don't think we're living in super precision land, so I am going to use a tape measure for this. That looks to be about 7 5/16. Make a note. All right, if we come over to our measurements, we have 1.9445. That's our first measurement. We have to add 7 5/16, which is 0.3125. If you add those together, you get just over 9 1/4, 9.257. So now we need to measure from here to here and see what that is. All right, 9.257 is the number. We're gonna probably call it 9 1/4. We need to make sure this measurement is less than that measurement. That way, this can be bolted to the bell housing, this can be in the hole, but if it's too long, obviously it's gonna hit the end of the hole. Not good. They say they want an 1/8 of clearance, which we definitely have. I'm getting 8 and 5/8, so we got a bunch of clearance. We're gonna be fine. Now I would expect to be fine. This whole exercise might be a little goofy, but this trans was bolted to this bell housing with this crank before. I don't know what they did for a pilot bushing. Don't really care, it doesn't matter, but we shouldn't have any newfound interference issues because this was all bolted together at one point and the car drove down the road. Next thing is to actually install the bearing and take a measurement from the face of it to the bell housing. And what they're concerned about, if you can tell here, there's some grease on this. See how this input shaft is nicely machined? It gets rough, but maintains a similar diameter and then tapers up into the spline. That bearing is going to ride right about here. They want to make sure there's enough clearance to where when you slam the trans in, that bearing's not trying to ride on this taper. So we need to measure from what they have marked on their drawing as A. I'm going to call where the machining ends to this face. We're going to measure that real quick, which I did earlier, and I believe ours, yes, 6.5 inches. So that's this trans side measurement. Now we need to come in here. We actually have to take the bell housing back off, put that bearing in, and then we're going to measure from the face of the bearing to here. And the number we get, we need to be at least 1/8, they say, larger than the trans measurement. That way you're ensuring you have clearance. So I'm going to pop these 2 bolts back out, lift this down, we'll put the bearing in, put it back on, measure. If everything's good, then we'll take the bell housing back off and we'll start working on the clutch. Bell housing's back off. Here's our bearing. It goes in with the writing facing out, right in here, like that. Now we're basically going to pound this in flush. If we get it started, I think I can get the socket seems to fit pretty good. It seems pretty flush. Tone changed. Okay, so now that is our pilot bushing. It's actually a bearing in this case, but you get it. Now bell housing goes back on, we take that other measurement. Okay, now we're going to take this, what I hope is the last measurement. I got my tape butted up against the face of the bearing. Now I'm getting 6 3/4. The measurement on our trans was 6.5. That's a 1/4 inch of clearance. They say you only need 1/8, so we're in good shape. We are going to pull the bell housing one more time so we can put the clutch and stuff in. I'm going to leave that because if I take it off now, I'm going to forget to put it back on and I'm going to put the flywheel on and I'm going to be pissed. So if you recall, we had this on there before and had to take it off due to our own stupidity and none of our stuff fitting. I will Loctite these. I'm just getting these in to hold it from crushing my fingers. I'll take those out at the end and do the Loctite job just like last time. I did clean the threads out. Don't worry. Torque these all to 55. Okay, now for the clutch. I'm just gonna, this has been just stored in here, so I'm gonna give her a quick acetone wipe just to degrease anything. Now this is a used clutch, and it honestly looks like it's been warm a couple times. I should replace it, but I'm not going to right away. I'll tell you why. I'm still not 100% sure we're not gonna have like a rear main leak or something weird, you know? And I would rather oil down this clutch than a brand new one. It's not that hard to pull the trans. I don't mind yanking it out. I can do a clutch in the car. What I don't want to do is have a leak or something and ruin a brand new one. So we're going to run this one. It didn't slip or nothing before. I don't think it's going to now. But then down the road, if we have to do a clutch, we'll do one. That'll go something like that. I degreased this already. Kind of try to do the same thing as the bell housing, get a couple of these started. Had her a little off kilter there. Don't be alarmed. Figured it out. The motor spun a bit. It's 30 foot-pounds. That's what we're gonna do then. Flywheel's on, clutch is on, pressure plate's on. The alignment tool comes in and out if you're gentle. All that's great. Now I think we can go ahead and put the bell housing on for good. Now it only bolts to the block. Uh-oh, don't do that. In a handful of spots. And the rest of these are kind of like through bolts. 2 of which are bigger and they go like that. Uh-oh, where'd that go? Finally out of the danger zone. Now I should be able to knock this around a little bit. Get some other bolts in it. There we go. Now it's sucked down on the dowel. We'll just loosely get some of these others in there. I'm not sure if I want... I think we'll go heads that way, because that matches everything that's threaded into the block. I'll come around and tighten all these after we get them going. Oh, this one's interesting. Is there a short one? Shorter one? It fits still. Seems like an awful lot of bolts. There's like 4 that hold it on there. The rest are just holding the shield to it, which I guess if it does ever scatter, it's protecting your legs, which is important. I get it. Okay, all the bolts are in. Now we're just gonna go around and snug everything up best we can. I think I already got this one. That one is tight. All right, well, we're way behind schedule, so I think that's going to do it for this episode. Please like and subscribe. I promise this thing's going in the car eventually. We're behind. Now it's during the week, and I don't want to rush it. I've tried really hard not to rush it up until this point. There's no sense in rushing to put it in. I don't really have a deadline besides one that I made up in my head. Hopefully next week we'll get the trans, the engine, the headers, this engine stand, and a bunch of tools over to the other shop, and we'll finally get to lower this into its home. Thank you. We'll see you next time.